Hello, Boris Pravisham here. Welcome to the Nidd Whitelist server. Before we get into things, let me first say that nothing is going to happen in this episode. Okay, it's just going to be me talking. I'm not going to build anything. As you may already know, I've not really been playing on this server. I've basically, until things improve, I guess, called it quits for this server for the time being, which is unfortunate. At the moment, the sim speed's actually pretty good. It drops when I go inside, but yeah, I spent about 3 weeks trying to put together one episode because I realized the last episode that I put out, all I did in that episode, and I realized this after the fact, was basically place a sensor. That was all I did in the episode, and I know my standards for making episodes haven't been particularly high, but nevertheless, that was a little bit too much. So I spent a lot more effort on the next one, mostly in creative mode, just trying to is that the right one? It is. Just trying to put together the ideas that I had, which I'm not going to save because I'm probably going to use them in future. Yeah, I spent most of it in creative. This is really the only thing that I'd built properly. I'm wondering why... Oh, no, the audio is supposed to be on. Right, I thought the audio was... Yeah, this is just a little airlock. It's not particularly... The oxygen's about to rush out. Yeah. And then we can do it the other way around. The red lights will just come on, they'll open up the other way, it'll drain out the oxygen. It's an airlock. That's really the only thing that I've done. For this episode, I think I'm just going to venture around the server and have a look at a few things, well, just having a general chat. There is no plan at all. I'm going to make it up as I go along. I just feel like I should show things off in case this is the last time and, we reset the server, that kind of thing. I would like to keep a copy of this world. It's unfortunate that I can't show you the picture for this, like the picture that's in my mind for this station, because what it looks like at the moment is very rough. There's sort of things sticking out everywhere, bits and pieces, and yeah, I had a lot better idea. This was Sal was annoyed that she didn't have an office, so I kind of just crammed it into here. So there's one oddly shaped office which is completely unfurnished, and an office for her assistant, which I don't know if she has an assistant, but there's an office for it. I also did that in order to block off downstairs, in order to make the hallway, the huge hallway that Anubis built, I'm blaming it on him, that has taken up all my space, so that I had to cram, there's the center of screen, I had to cram the offices into this tiny little space down there. All the lights are off. I do like looking up into things like that. Yeah, but to make this, I think I just crouched, to make this actually worth something. I've just got holes and stuff everywhere. You can see how incomplete it was. I think, and I guess this says something about because this is supposed to be a sandbox game, so I guess it says something about the game in that I feel like I'm playing Space Engineers wrongly. I feel like the way that I'm going about building and survival, that kind of thing, just isn't sustainable and may never be sustainable. It just might be the limitations of the concept of the game. That sensor in there is a little too high. It says something about the concept of the game, the capabilities of the game engine, and so forth, that making something this size on a world, because this is supposed to go all the way around, by the way, that there is the starting of a, how would you put it, like a 3D printer, that's how I've seen it put elsewhere, but a welding contraption. So you put your projection and then it welds it. I've forgotten the name for that, but this is the starting of that. I was going to make a refined version, so a small one made for making small things, kind of like that. I should show off while I'm here. I've just gotten distracted. Where is it? There's a lot of spam. I could turn it down, but I do want to actually find stuff today, so I'm not. There. This is Nordic's little design. I've forgotten the name that he's given to these things, but it's a little, like, bike to ride. Remote control. They're just fun to just fly around with. I like this design. I'll leave it out here. That distracted me. Yeah, so it was supposed to be for building small things, and I was going to make it so that it was as stable as possible, like in a multiplayer environment. And that's another idea that I'm not going to show because I've put it in creative mode. So that's something that I'll throw together whenever we next meet in a more official capacity, and I haven't really changed anything in here, although there are now mods on the server a little too late. There's a whole bunch of like decorative and aesthetic mods mostly, which I was going to use to sort of fill this in to make it look a little bit more warehousey, but I think that came a little too late. And then I've got this little area up the top here that I was going to make it sort of overlook. And I was going to maybe have like my office up here to overlook this warehouse with all of its accent walls. Anyway, we'll just have a look at the mess that is the exterior. But the exterior was always supposed to look busy. I was going to smooth it out more than it is with that. Yeah, it was always supposed to look busy, like it was a work in progress, lots of things kind of sticking off the side. But you can see there's no sort of thought for aesthetics here. There's things poking off the side. I was experimenting with patterns. I like that one. I think I might use that one again. And sells ships. Just all sort of in the side. I don't think that one would have fit in the hangar. Because that was supposed to be a hangar on that side. Anyway, back to the point that I was going to make. Let's teleport somewhere. Which is that I think that Space Engineers is really only going to work in a multiplayer environment like this. Where shall we go? We'll go to Nordic's place. I wonder if I can get out of this. I can. I think it only works if you all kind of agree to play in a very restricted, and this is all projector stuff, yes. I wonder if I can turn this on, because this looks nice when it is. Will that work? Yeah. It's like a display room. See, Nordic plays more like, if everyone played like Nordic, the servers would have a much longer lifespan. How do I get out of here? I want to show the outside. See, Nordic plays for things to actually be functional. And I guess it's because Anubis has this problem as well, where our sandboxing background is Minecraft, like a lot of people playing Space Engineers. I should probably close the doors, come to think of it. Because like I just said, Nordic actually plays Space Engineers like you're supposed to. So leaving doors open and so forth is probably going to ruin something. Yeah, but with a background in Minecraft where things are mostly, I guess, not functional, it's about building and just building to your heart's content, basically. You know, I played Minecraft for about 3 years, pretty much non-stop, you know, almost every day of the week sometimes. I'm hoping that... Does that open it? A timer block. I hope something doesn't go wrong in here. I'm just looking for an air vent. There is an air vent. It's on depressurized mode at the moment. So I'm wondering if I press this, will it flip it the other way? Or is that timer block just for the lights as well? No, it's turned on. I feel like they've been flipped the wrong way. Like that was supposed to go to depressurize while that door was opening. But because it was on depressurize when I pressed it, it flipped around the wrong way. I'll close this. So even then this is a little bit bigger than I thought was going to happen. Look at this. This looks great. So perhaps Nordic has been getting a little bit of the they've been caught up in the moment, and like Anubis and I, building massive structures that it really doesn't take long to hit the limit of the game. And see, even then, these are quite small. These are all quite small ships, and when you're out here, things are fine. You know, he's still playing, he's still making episodes and so forth. So, yeah, you can see him making all of this. Hopefully, I'm not ruining anything. I don't think I am. So we've got some connectors there. I think we've the public showroom. I think we were in there, but how? Okay, I don't want to spend all day just looking at one person's. Yeah, I think if I were to... Oh, anyway, back to the... Sorry, I jumped ahead. Yeah, so this is where I just realised I left this projection on. So it's a good thing we came back in here. A little exit sign, Nordic, would be good. Yeah, with Minecraft, I played for pretty much 3 years straight, and I did almost everything and recorded almost everything in one world, one survival single-player world. That whole time. There were a couple of times where I had to transfer the world to a different version, so I had to start the world again, but I copied quite a lot of stuff over with world edit tools. So I pretty much, for 3 years, had a very consistent world, and the way that... so we go, and we'll show you the other end of the scale. With what Anubis has done. We've seen this before. The way that Minecraft works means that if things got a bit laggy, a little bit big, oops, you could just, move a few chunks down the road, and the laggy chunks would unload, and you could continue just fine. For the most part, that works pretty well. Space Engineers, not quite. It does seem to get a lot less laggy when you're away from things, but from what I've read, it seems to be that the problems stemming from that will hopefully be solved, maybe. That's a very big maybe, with the multiplayer update, so I guess that's kind of what we're waiting for. I do have my graphics settings on low at the moment, which is why things look a little cartoony. I'm only getting like 16 frames a second here, which is to be expected with all these welders and connectors and so forth. But yeah, this is the other end of the scale, where Anubis is like me. He has that Minecrafting background, and like me, he built massive structures. I built like entire cities when I was playing in survival by myself, just whittling away at it for literally years, and that I've kind of transferred that playstyle where I'm making these huge bases, and I did a similar thing in the first season, not quite the same size, and I didn't quite get as much done. I just didn't have as much time. I had a fair amount of time to make a whole chunk of videos. Perhaps I should have scheduled them a little bit more to spread them out rather than release them all 3 a week for a few weeks. But yeah, and you can see here that when Anubis sets himself a task, he had no idea that any of this was going to work. Thankfully it does seem to. He had no idea any of this was going to work, and this is, from what I've heard him talk about it, like half done, if that. And the amount of time he's put into this has been rather ridiculous. Hey. Oh, apparently I left the ugly barrier over here. It's interesting. Well, we've seen this before, so we won't stick around too long. Did I not kill myself then? I was considering flying between these, but I think it's good I haven't. I think I'll go have a look at Minty's next. I think his is the retro rocket. No? Nobody? Where's Minty? Am I actually going to have to fly to Minty? So it's Nordic, and that looks like that's a Nordic structure, right? Yeah, it is. Minty's not there. I think I'll go back to the center, and I may have to cut this bit out while I fly there. I managed to find it. It's about nearly 30,000 kilometers out from the center. He's out here for lag reasons, because before he got his new computer, he had the worst computer out of all of us, except perhaps Mir. So he was having serious lag problems, and now he's all the way out here. He probably doesn't need to be, but it's good to be prepared, I guess. Out here it's running fairly normally. I'm still getting fairly low frame rates, about 40. Out here, when there's nothing in the world, I expect about 100, but yeah, he does have these interesting aesthetic designs that I haven't seen many other people use. This is perhaps not the I don't know whether or not this is typical of his. I've seen a lot of his to be asymmetrical and so forth. I have no idea what this is. What does he call it? The Umbongo Drongo. I don't I don't really understand his base. It's okay, so this is just a connector. I feel like that's not the right entrance. I'm pretty sure his entrance is... Well, I don't know if he has an official entrance, but there's a way in through... He's got this kind of inverse, like, torus through the center here as well. I think that's the entrance. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how to navigate around Minty's base. I will have to do a collab episode with him in the future, sometime soon. That's what I'm going to continue on this server doing, is just joining other people with their things. I don't quite have the motivation at the moment, or I guess the passion for the game. So I don't feel like making single player episodes. They'd be a bit sort of grindy, me trying too hard to do something that I'm not particularly enjoying. So I'll continue making episodes, but mostly just with other people, helping them with their creations and getting Minty to explain what the hell all this is. I mean, it looks interesting. And the color schemes, I haven't seen this sort of color scheme. I quite like it. And I recognize this design from one of his... You would have seen it too in one of the other episodes. The ship that he was trying to make at Anubis' Buildy Donut. It looks fairly similar to this, in that it has these sorts of corridors, multiple corridors. And I don't understand, but I like it. It's odd looking, and I mean that in a good way. Okay, well they don't seem to go anywhere yet. Oh, up a bit more. Yeah, I can't really give a tour of this. So, but anyway, my style of building big and expecting to be able to continue building, that's kind of why I point out all the little projects that I'm doing. So I'm recording in a similar way to the way that I did my 3-year-long Minecraft series on my old YouTube channel. In that I could be fairly confident that in many months' time I was still going to be working on a project, and I would still feel the motivation to continue on it, because I did enjoy that game for a very long time. I still do really like it. I've just kind of burnt out on it. I think we've seen everything we can see here, so let's head back into the center and see what we can find. I know Nordic has an outpost. I don't know where any of Mir and Sal's stuff are. Like Sal's stuff that she has with Mir. That's somewhere. I think it's in that direction. I'm not sure. We'll head down to the outpost here, and then we can go have a look at that NDF Infinity. There's a lot of spam, particularly from me. Yeah, so I have to change my playing style, so it's a little bit more, I guess, modular. It's smaller, a little more realistic in terms of, I guess, space exploration. Not trying to build these fantastical stations that I really like doing. But I was going to do this on this server until I found that asteroid had that idea and really wanted to build it. Okay, that ruined everything. And I do fault the game for that. When you can have an idea that you really want to do, especially in a sandbox game, and just not be able, or to be able to begin it and then be let down. I know it's mostly my fault, but I feel like a game shouldn't, particularly a sandbox game, shouldn't be too restraining on your creativity. So, kind of like the way that there's a small sort of platform like that, and linking a whole bunch of little platforms sort of dug into the asteroid, trying to build more modularly. Where's the NDF Infinity? There. Go have a look at what that is, because I don't know what it is. And I do have something that I have been working on, and this is something that I think I will be putting in videos sometime soon, depending on how things go with this. Judging by the performance of pretty much everywhere that isn't my base, I feel like it would be very unfair to try and force people into resetting the server at this point. I think I should just be encouraging people to continue and helping them out, because everything seems to be pretty well okay for them. And today was fairly good, so perhaps things are slowly getting better. I have not seen this ship at all. NDF. Who's NDF? I don't know we've just chosen silly names. NDF. No one. I haven't seen Spider-Man's base. Should go have a look at that. NDF. Am I allowed in? This looks like it may have been converted. What am I looking for? A name of the person who owns it, right. Nordic. Okay, so he has called himself NDF as well? Perhaps that stands for something else. Can I get in? Yeah, one of the... I guess this is an airlock. I shouldn't expect everyone to have the same building standards that I have. The thing that I'm working on at the moment is a shipping container. So much like shipping containers in the real world, the idea is to have a universal shape and size, so that I really want to fly this now. Have a universal shape and size, so that just about anything sort of works with it. It can be transported by well, I guess the people hauling know the exact size of it, and you can hold just about anything that is either the same size or smaller than it. Sorry, I've been distracted by the ship. Let's go back out. And you can be confident in knowing the size, and I think that's something that I'll be implementing to have my permanent storage. And this is where it differs from a real-world shipping container, but to have my permanent storage in these, I guess, containers, which I've basically, it's just a shell, like a scaffold, not actual scaffolding as in the game scaffolding, but kind of looks like scaffolding. It's all welded and everything, around cargo containers, and it's going to be that universal size with, and then you can put anything in the middle. It'll mostly be cargo containers, and then I'll have kind of like a dock for it. So, like, say, if you imagine 3 connectors in a row, and then you have the containers off the connectors, so you'd have 3 in... I can't really explain it. I will show it sometime in the near future, hopefully. And I'm building a whole sort of range of ships where you can kind of plug these docks, these shipping containers into them, so that that's how you get your storage. You don't have cargo containers built into your ships, but you plug a shipping container into it, and then you can then plug that shipping container into a station, and that's how you do all your storage. And I'm kind of going along with that idea with most of the concepts in Space Engineers. So rather than having these massive bases with sort of all the, lots of unnecessary redundancies, that kind of thing, I'm thinking of playing a little bit more, I guess, the way it was intended to be played, reining back the imagination a little bit, and trying to work a little bit more strategically on, having things like that to work a little more modularly and smaller, to have everything as compact and as efficient as possible. Some people like playing like that, and I do quite like that as well. Like, I like the idea of it, but when it comes to building like that, I get carried away, and that's what's happened with my, Anubis has had a look at the shipping container things that I've been doing, and they do not match at all my description of them, because I have gotten carried away, and the ships that I'm designing to carry them, like the transport ships, one of them looks like a dung beetle according to him, and it really wasn't meant to, but because it was an interesting shape, I just kept building it. I didn't stop, and so it became a secondary project. So that's how my building style ends up, and this is a massive ship, of course. It goes against everything I've just said, but hopefully I can rein this in and build like I'm supposed to. So that, I guess that's my plans for the future. And maybe I can do that on this server and go to the areas that aren't as big, perhaps dismantle my base a little bit, as much as it would kill me to do so. Just to make it so that it's possible to play here. And hopefully I could sort of get that spark back and want to keep playing. Anyway, this has been a very protracted and endless and needless episode, so I hope you don't mind having watched this. I'll hopefully see you again sometime soon, probably in a collab episode. So thank you for watching. Goodbye.